the standard. This is the scope. Okay, and here if you see, there are few additional cloud specific ISO standards that we refer. Okay, but we primarily look at 27002. Okay, now any ISO standard, it starts with certain terms and definitions. I'm sure these are not going to be very new to you, but just to make sure that we are all on the same page, right? Can anybody tell me in the context of cloud, what do we mean by multi-tenants? Any thoughts? What according to you are multi-tenants in cloud? Anything that comes to your mind. It's okay to be right or wrong. Yes, please.
So I assume that there's a space, one selective space which is given, and there are multiple tenants occupying that one single space.
Exactly. So that one single space is nothing but the cloud environment, right? See, today you go to any organization, let it be KPMG, let it be Deloitte. I'm just comparing you with your circle, right? PwC, right? Any, let's say, let's limit to consulting now. Now, all of you, either within your own organizations might have applications on cloud, or you're serving clients whose applications are on cloud. And when we ask them what is the cloud, majority of them will give you only answers among these three, right? Either AWS or Azure or Google. Now let's say AWS, for instance, right? Now AWS is one cloud environment where you will find applications from a customer X, a customer Y, and a customer Z, right? So with respect to you, you think you are using that cloud environment, but you are not aware that the same environment is being used by different customers also. The word customer is being replaced by tenant in a cloud context. So there are different tenants occupying the same environment. And one of the primary expectation from a cloud provider is that, see, if you have decided to expose your environment to multiple tenants, you should also make sure they are secured, so that one customer's information is not available to another. And that is the biggest challenge with respect to cloud security. See, as long as you were within your own data center, your own physical infrastructure, this problem never came in. The moment you decided to put something on cloud, you don't know with whom that information is being shared. So that is what we mean by multi-tenancy, and secure multi-tenancy is the primary responsibility of the cloud provider. Okay, so as we go through the controls, as I mentioned earlier, you will also find specific inputs on what the provider is expected to do. And as a customer of cloud, if you're aware of it, right, tomorrow, when you sign contracts with these cloud service providers, or when you want to revise contracts, when you take up new services from them, it's going to help you. Okay, so this is one term. The other important term is virtual machine. We call them as VMs, right? In your own understanding, what is a VM?
So basically in a VM, we are emulating another operating system on a machine. So we can use multiple operating.
Okay, you simulate, I will take Pete's input that you're trying to simulate another operating system on your machine, right? Or in a very simple term, right? Typically, if you look at, let's say an IT infrastructure, right? It has an underlying physical component, a hardware, which could be a server. And on top of that, there is an operating system. And on top of that, you build your applications, right? But now what is happening is that from the physical components, you abstract certain components which resemble physical components. And today your applications interact only with this abstracted layer, right? Internally, the physical components, you are not exposed. And as Teeth said, you can have multiple abstracted layers. So this abstracted, one form of this abstracted layer is a virtual machine. So the very word virtual tells you that it is existing. It may not be the actual real physical environment. It is a virtual environment, right? Again, VMs are the base and means by which we interact, we use clouds, and it's very important that we understand this layer of virtualization so that we will know what kind of protection is needed. Okay, again, this, whenever we speak about cloud, we speak about these three terms, right? IaaS, PaaS, and SaaS. Okay, now can anybody tell me what is your understanding of IaaS, PaaS, and SaaS?
Hi, Yashaswini. So IaaS stands for Infrastructure as a Service.
Yes.
PaaS, sorry, SaaS stands for Software as a Service, and PaaS, I forgot the full form, but it is, I guess, uh, production like environment as a service, platform as a service. Sorry. So in
Absolutely.
IaaS, actually, all the majority of the rights are with the actual the person who is using the cloud. So
Fantastic.
all the OS and configuration, everything he has to do. Only the infrastructure part will be taken care by the vendor, which is providing the cloud. In PaaS, like you get the platform, means you, the person who is using the cloud has a little lesser rights as compared to IaaS. And in SaaS, only software as a service, like I would say the applications like Tableau or something which is provided by Salesforce, only the application part it has the access.
Absolutely. Absolutely right. Thank you, Apurva, for sharing this in detail. Now, I'm sure you would have heard this term. Now, I will bring in a perspective of what is cloud security to do with these three, right? Now, as Apurva said, he gave an example of Tableau, right? I will give a very simple example of this Google Meet. Google Meet, any sort of Google product, your WhatsApp, all of this, your Gmails, all of this are a typical example of a SaaS product. What is it? The entire application is packaged and given to you, and you are given user instructions to use the application. You have no clue what is residing beneath that application, in the sense, where is it hosted, right? What is the technology with which it has been created, right? What is the level of security within it? You have absolutely no exposure or control. Today, if you want to, let's say, log the number of people who are using a particular SaaS applications, you may not have any rights to enable logging or monitoring that application, because that is all done by your SaaS provider. So if you compare between SaaS, PaaS, and IaaS, right? SaaS is where you have least exposure to the security controls, and IaaS is where you can have a lot of controls implemented from your end. So the very important point that you all will have to take back is, Tomorrow, whenever you go back to your organizations and projects, and when you look at cloud security, the first question that you will have to ask is, what is the service model that you are following? Is it infrastructure as a service, platform as a service, or software as a service? Without understanding this service model, you will not be able to decide what are the controls that are needed for that particular environment. So as we said, IaaS is where you have maximum control, in the sense that the cloud provider is only giving you the infrastructure. On top of the infrastructure, you are going to build the platform and the applications, which means you can decide what level of security controls are needed. For example, you can enable application level logging. You can enable application level monitoring. Again, there can be certain restrictions that the cloud provider might bring in, but at least you have a significant advantage of negotiating with them, because the application and the platform are still under your control. Platform as a service is middle way. There are certain cases, for example, somebody is trying to offer you, let's say, a database management system as a platform. And on that platform, you're trying to build an application or a database. You will still have some control, right? Somebody is trying to offer you a queue management system. And on top of that, you're trying to build an application which will use those queues. You still have some control. Okay. Whereas if you look at a SaaS product, it's a completely packaged product where you can only log in, do certain user actions, and log out. You will have very, very limited insights into what is happening behind that product. So it's very important that you go back and question your projects and your organization as to what is the kind of security service model that we have with a particular cloud provider, right? Now, when it comes to cloud, right, you would have heard this term called, supplier management, right, or vendor management, right? Can anybody give me some examples of suppliers or vendors that you have come across in your environments? Anything?
So there are actually multiple vendors like Azure, AWS, which are providing the cloud services. Also, there are different vendors for monitoring those. Like there are some tools like SolarWinds and all, which monitor the capacity related things. I guess is this what you wanted?
Okay, so you are talking specific to cloud, but I was asking for some general vendors and suppliers. Okay, I'll give you an example, right? For instance, today, let's say one of your clients have decided to outsource the design of their product to a specific vendor. So let's say they are coming up with an AI-based product, and they do not have the expertise within them. So they have decided to outsource the design of the product to an AI vendor who specializes in AI. Okay. Now, please note that whenever we make a decision, I'm talking of an organization, right? Whenever they make a decision to outsource something, right, you are only outsourcing the responsibility. The accountability is still with you, which means if in the example that I gave, you have decided to outsource the design of an AI application to a vendor. Now, tomorrow, there is a problem in the design. And because of that, some information gets leaked out. Okay, the customer will